I am lying down right now. Um, it's January 12th. I saw a Roman historian on TikTok talking about how January and February used to not be months on the calendar because it was a time of misery and nothingness. So they didn't count it. And that's how I'm feeling right now. So I am lying down, but I am going to talk about what happened, what I ate January 5th through 11th. But first, I do have updates. Let's do some local news updates. First, Ideals, my favorite place to get a sandwich in Durham, North Carolina, is expanding. They are opening up a bakery. They're going to do a menu expansion. They're going to do catering, dinner options. They're going to fill their currently empty deli case. They're considering doing a wholesale bread. This was all announced on Instagram this past week. This is exciting. I'm also a little bit concerned. I've worked at places that have expanded before. We've all eaten at places that have expanded, and the main question is, will this cause the quality of the product to suffer? Their goal is to reduce the line. Currently, if you want to get a sandwich at Ideals, you have to stand in line. They're only open about 2 to 3 hours a day. They want to churn out more product. And I'm sure that I've heard that the owners aren't really making money. I'm sure they want to make more money. They want to be able to support their families. I think that all makes sense. I think we all want that for them. But my question is it better for a restaurant to expand their scope of operations, potentially compromising their product and attention to detail to avoid the closure of their restaurant? Or should the restaurant just close? That's my question. I guess we'll find out. North Carolina is getting its first Buc-ee's in Mebane, North Carolina, in May 2027. That's the other piece of local news that I have. That's pretty big. The Buc-ee's is going to be physically huge. I think it's like 17,000 square feet. Obviously, it's taking them a long time to build it. Mebane is kind of blowing up, I would say. And that's all I have to say about that. I have some national news. This is the last news item, I believe. This is the last piece of news, but it is national. RFK Jr. inverted the food pyramid this past week. So everybody's going keto. The food pyramid is literally upside down. It's like he went into Photoshop and rotated it twice. Rotated it 180 degrees. Let me just pull up a picture so we can talk about it for a second. Talk about what we need to be eating now, according to RFK Jr. Let's all take his advice. Oh, shoot. This is a YouTube video. I don't think I need to hear that. A still from a YouTube video. It's confusing when stills from YouTube videos show up as pictures on Google image search. Okay. Here at the top, we have protein, dairy, healthy fats, vegetables, and fruits. I can't really argue with that. Vegetables and fruits at the top. I don't know if I would include fruits. I would say vegetables maybe at the top. Fruits, especially modern fruits, are full of sugar. Protein, dairy, healthy fats. Maybe protein and healthy fats. Maybe not have dairy at the top. Just vegetables, protein, healthy fats at the top. Maybe even grains, like whole grains. Whole grains are at the bottom. They don't want you eating bread. There's a huge piece of broccoli at the top. It's not proportional to anything else. There's a Is that a shrimp? Like a huge shrimp. Okay. I mean, it's not that bad. It is strange that they want everybody on the Atkins diet, which, or keto, or whatever you want to call it, the low carb diet. I remember Brian's mom was on the keto diet for a while when I first moved here. I don't think she realized that margaritas were not keto. So she was doing keto, except she would drink margaritas at night. I once knocked on her door randomly during the day, came in, and she was on the couch eating a slice of apple pie while watching a YouTube video on the keto diet. So yeah, she doesn't do it anymore. But yeah, margaritas, really what she would do, what she would buy Deep Eddy, which is a flavored vodka that she thought was a mixer. So she would add more vodka to the Deep Eddy and then fall on the beach. Okay, I'm moving on to a section called listener feedback. My anonymous cheese correspondent, whose identity I am protecting, is reporting that the Shark Tank product known as Rebel Cheese is actually good. But this person does want to point out that they have a macaroni and cheese recipe that requires 3 full blocks of cheese and yields what looks to be 4 to 5 servings. And we estimate that the cost of cheese alone would be $60. So yeah, you're looking at, like, with all the other ingredients you need to buy, a $20 serving, $20 mac and cheese that you're making yourself. $20 per serving. Sorry, is it Rebel cheese or is it Rebel cheese? Either way, I explored their website a little bit more, and their branding seems to be pirate themed. They have like a skull and crossbones type logo, which to me begs the question, who is your target audience besides vegans with disposable income? Is it pirates who are famous for stealing? I don't think that trying to sell your product to pirates is going to make it work out for you. However, having a high price point specialty item, I think it's useful for the art of thoughtful and targeted gift giving. I'm going to go to the Gustiamo tomato sauce that I talked about last week. Got this jar of tomato sauce. It's $13.50. I would never stock my pantry with that, but it is nice to have the option to get a higher quality, expensive version of something for a gift. It's a good, unique gift idea. So having the option to buy somebody a $30 7-ounce wheel of cheese, I guess that's really all it's good for in my mind, gift giving. Okay. Now, this isn't really listener feedback, but it is more a conversation I have with my sisters that put me down a rabbit hole. And it is title of ep. Over the holidays, one of my sisters asked, if you could be an M&M, which one would you be? She definitely was referring to the main cast of characters, but my immediate reply was the Lisa Rinna M&M. The obvious answer. I think I was influenced by the recent Lisa Rinna interview that I heard on the Las Culturistas podcast, which is currently under fire for a political statement that they made. I'm not going to go into that. But they brought up her M&M campaign. So I want to talk about that. This was a campaign that ran from 2007 to 2008 called Find Your Inner M. And they had a website that you could go on where you could generate an M&M that looked like you. There's an Instagram account called Artifactsing. and they posted a carousel of every single M&M that was created, every single official celebrity M&M that was created for the original campaign. And I want to share them with you so you can pick which M&M you would want to be. And I would encourage you to actually look at these online. So obviously we have Lisa Rinna. There's Dr. Phil, Michael Bay, the Addams Family, Indiana Jones, Brad Garrett from Everybody Loves Raymond, who was truly unidentifiable, Michael Strahan, two sports announcers whose signatures I can't read, Brooks and Dunn, Kiss, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Bobby Flay, Burt Reynolds, Mary Lou Retton, Christina Saralegui, Joan Rivers, Melissa Rivers. Let me know which M&M you are as soon as you can. Okay. Consumer advocacy and product reviews is my next section. I don't understand this first note that I wrote. Oh, yes. I've been sending out emails to companies about products that I'm not happy with. I did talk a little bit about this last time. So the made-in cookware gratin dishes that I got, it's a set of 2. It doesn't have the volumetric measurement on the pan or the website. I did email them about it. Now, if you look at any old thing that you would cook like a macaroni and cheese in, anything you would bake something in the oven and usually has a quart measurement on it. I don't know why they decided to not include that, but I think it is a huge oversight on their part, and I emailed them. I'll let you know if they ever respond. I also emailed DeFore Puff Pastry, requesting that they include on their box more information about the quantity of the product inside that box. They give a weight, which doesn't really tell me a whole lot. Now, I know that for a puff pastry sheet, you can roll it out and make the sheet bigger, but we need a starting point measurement. They need to tell us A, how many sheets are in the box, and B, what the dimensions of that sheet are. So I emailed them. I'm considering emailing Baggu because I purchased 2 lunch boxes from them, one for Brian, one for myself. I got I guess it's the largest one. It's a little bit taller. It's not as wide, but it has a handle on the top. And then I got myself the smallest, but it's a lot wider than the one that I got for Brian. Anyway, I love the lunchbox. It has that gorgeous sort of naive style drawing of really squat apples. Here's the thing. It's perfect for putting a somewhat large Tupperware in. It's pretty flat. But the handle's on the side, so you can't put anything liquid. You have to then carry your lunchbox like it's a tray. Like there's absolutely no point to it because everything's going to tip over. There needs to be a handle on the top. By the top, I mean the broadest side, so that I can carry my Tupperware facing up. Okay. I think I've talked about Happy and Hale. This is a puzzling local chain in the Triangle of North Carolina. Any company that is called something and something is deeply puzzling to me. Happy and Hale, Hale. I think they make smoothies. Anyway, I had to go to the bank in Durham There was a Happy and Hale next door. They had a sign out front on the sidewalk that said, "Come get our banana bread blaster." Okay. I don't remember what I wanted to say about this other than they need to be stopped. More consumer advocacy news. We talked about the Food 52 shutting down. I think they filed for bankruptcy, and America's Test Kitchen is purchasing them, and then their partner brands, or whatever you want to call them, are also shutting down. Schoolhouse, for one, which makes those big flower quilts. Quince, who is all over the place, is now copying the Schoolhouse floral quilt. They have a quilt that almost looks identical, and you can just purchase it from Quince now. I kind of wonder if they're in cahoots or if this is just a blatant ripoff. I can't tell. Quince is strange. They don't have a middleman. It's like straight from the factory. The timing of the release of this quilt is interesting. They sort of waited for Schoolhouse to announce their bankruptcy, and now they're producing this quilt. I don't know what's going on there. But I do have one of those flower quilts from Schoolhouse, and I always thought I've had it for a while. I've washed it a lot. It's sort of starting to fray a little bit. I mean, and I thought, well, it doesn't matter. Like, Schoolhouse is a good quality, going to be a legacy brand probably. I'll just get another one at some point. And wow, so wrong. Just have to get one from Quince. The subpar version of that. Their color and their design is just a little bit off. It's not as good as the Schoolhouse version. My last consumer advocacy / product review item is that I do have a newer car. I finally bought a car for the first time. I mean, I didn't get my license until a few years ago, which is a whole other story. But so I haven't used like a modern car in a long time. I've been just driving old cars. So I have a 2022 car now. It's a Honda CR-V, and on the dashboard you can switch through a menu item. It'll show you like the gas or like the music. And there was a coffee cup for a while. And at first I thought, oh my God, this car is so new. It has so many features. Like, is there an espresso machine in the car? Obviously that's not the case, but I thought, oh, that must be like you can press it and it'll show you like what coffee shops are around you on the map. It'll like automatically direct you to the nearest coffee shop. That's really cool. Finally, I clicked on it to see what it actually was, and it's a monitor to tell you how much you're paying attention on the road and whether or not you need to pull over for coffee. I guess it's like monitoring whether or not you're swerving all over the road, crashing into cars. I do love an excuse to have to pull over and get a coffee. It did tell me on my 14-hour drive back from Connecticut that I did need to pull over and get a coffee. I didn't. I just made Brian drive at that point. But interesting feature. Actually, it was super disappointing. I thought maybe it would just take you to a coffee shop. Like, the car would take over and just drive you to a coffee shop. Okay, I'm getting into my Le Labo reviews now. I'm trying to sample all the samples. Let's see. I tried 4 scents this past week. First was patchouli, which smells like the scented markers that you would get in elementary school, especially the cherry marker. But if they had been smoked overnight like a fish. And then it fades to the smell of a Home Depot. Lee, Lys, has the same fresh sunscreen hit of the lavande or the neroli perfumes, but with more pronounced white florals. It smells like the soaps that you would get at a DoubleTree hotel in the 90s. Fleur d'Oranger supposedly took 3 years to develop, which you can detect because it finally smells different from the others in a distinct way. Very fresh, reminds me of the blossoms on my Meyer lemon tree or honeysuckle. I let Brian smell it and he said it smells like high school. I don't know what that means. Today, I tried eucalyptus. I'm wearing it right now. It's a little overpowering. It's got a lot of lasting power, I would say. It's masculine. Wood, cedar, musky, dried, sharp dried greens. And maybe like, you know how some people hang dried eucalyptus in their shower for scent? And then it doesn't really dry out properly and then it gets mildewy and you have to throw it away. It smells like that when it's like time to throw it away. Okay, moving on to a section called the internet. I wrote a note to say that I can't believe that I didn't talk about Claire Saffitz's mortadella cookies that she developed for Christmas in all of my Christmas cookie talk. I guess there was some controversy over people claiming that she stole the idea from other people. Every recipe is a remix of something else. No recipe is original. I'm just going to say that. And chocolate salami, it's been going on for a while now. So I think Claire's riff on it is wonderful. I've talked about Salty Lunch Lady and my dream to go there. The cakes and the sandwiches, that's really all I want to eat. I think it's really, there's something about the style of food that Drea makes that is really exactly what I want. I remember she ran the kitchen at a bar that I used to go to, and she just made like the best hamburgers and fries. Exactly what you would want out of a cheeseburger. We did overlap at Mission Chinese for like a week. I think I took over her station. I just remember her making yogurt all the time. Anyway, she has no idea who I am, I don't think, but I go on her Instagram a lot to see what kind of cake she's making. And I did want to read off these flavors. So she does custom cakes. I love that she, quote, "I do not write on cakes or do piping. Grandma style only." Love that. I love that they're sort of wonky and drippy and unfinished looking. Some cakes that she's done: chocolate raspberry cake, dark chocolate ganache, raspberry frosting, raspberry jam, fresh raspberries. Yuzu meringue cake, olive oil cake, yuzu curd, torched vanilla bean meringue. Strawberry malted milkshake cake, vanilla cake, malted strawberry frosting, strawberry jam, malted vanilla bean frosting. Coconut cake, coconut milk custard, white frosting, coconut. Tiered fig and fig leaf cake, vanilla cake, fig leaf custard, brown butter frosting, fig jam, fresh figs. Blackberry lemonade cake, olive oil cake, lemon curd, blackberry frosting, fresh blackberries. Chocolate almonds cake, chocolate ganache, slightly almond scented chocolate frosting, marzipan, candied almonds, flaky salt. I don't know how I would ever even pick one of these. I don't know if I would go for the chocolate almond cake, to be honest. Everything else sounds divine. I don't even know how I would pick. Just want to throw that out there. Supporting a business that I've never even been to. But I have tasted her food. I can vouch for it. Okay. I have a lot of TikTok videos. And of course, I left myself a trail of weird links to click on. Oh, okay. So this is a video by I don't know how to say this. DOMKOZUCH. She is comparing the Dubai chocolate bar craze, the chocolate bars filled with the green crunchy stuff, as a Reptar bar from Rugrats, which I don't know how I never made that connection. I think subconsciously I did, but that is exactly what the Dubar chocolate bars look like. Okay. TikTok video from Sean James Johns. I've been getting a lot of people on TikTok who are cooking the worst food in America. And they're posting videos about it. I don't know if they're I think this guy's aware that this food does not look good. He starts the video off by saying, "So I'm making this." He's cooking, he has two pans going. I think one is turned off and it has two, what looks to be boiled pork chops, gray as hell, rubbery boiled pork chops. Then he has a pan on the heat with what looks to be two lemons that he just ripped up with his fist. Looks like he ripped up an onion and he's sauteing them together. The first comment on the video is from Zach Fox, who is, if you don't know him, he's a musician. He sings that song, Fuck Around and Find Out. He's the first comment. His comment is, "I don't know, man." On this same algorithm, I don't know where my TikTok was taking me, but it took me to Dr. Howard Smith, who is a consumer advocate. He has a TikTok channel that he updates every day with these like public access style, early internet, Tim and Eric style videos, where he talks about a product recall. And the video that came up on my feed was about a cake recall from Ukrops, which I'll get into. I did reach out to him and I asked, who is doing your design work? What programs are you using? He then explained to me what PowerPoint was. I think he thought I was just like, I'd never used a computer before. I don't know how he's getting this look accomplished, but it is really incredible. So anyway, this video about Ukrops came up. They were calling some cake for like a soy, something to do with soy. If you don't know what Ukrops is, Ukrops is a Richmond, Virginia thing, I believe. That's how I found out about it. When I worked on a farm, we had like a month where we were all supposed to bring in a dessert because we all ate lunch together. And one of my coworkers, who is from Richmond, instead of making a dessert, he brought in a chocolate pie from this grocery store. It's like, I don't know how to describe it. I think it used to be a store, but now they just make prepared foods for grocery stores. So if you go to like your local grocery chain grocery store in Virginia, you can get Ukrops items. So he brought us the chocolate pie. He's like, "This is the best thing you guys are ever going to eat." I think we were all stunned. And yeah, maybe it's a nostalgia thing for him. It tastes like, go to any ShopRite, Jewel Osco, whatever, any like subpar grocery store baking item and buy it. Food Lion. I mean, anything. That's what it was like. So I want to explore their menu a little bit. They have something called a bar cake, which is actually really intriguing. It's a long cake in the shape of a bar, like a chocolate bar. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers of cake. It's covered in a chocolate ganache. I'm into it. So, just to clarify, I'm on their signature products page of their website. The first thing listed is the bar cake, which I'm into. I guess I would also compare this to like Entenmann's or like any like grocery store product baked good that's full of preservatives. Okay, their second signature item is chicken salad. Chocolate fudge pie. This is what I ate. Let me click through to it and see if they have any news to share with us about it. A top seller since 1976. Made with real cocoa. Okay. Yeah, it was whatever. It was truly whatever. They make custom cakes, which I think is what was recalled. So don't get that. They make potato salad. They make rainbow cookies, but they're not the Italian rainbow cookie that they're thinking of. They are round and they're tie-dye. They're like red, tan, and green. The rainbow cookie TM has achieved iconic status in Richmond and beyond for its soft and buttery flavor and distinctive red, green, and yellow colors. As they have been for years, these bite-sized treats are made from scratch, by hand, at the Ukrop's Bakery. Just as it was in our supermarket days, every child that visits Ukrop's market hall is entitled to a free rainbow cookie. Wow. It seems like a rip of the classic Italian. Triple cheese mac and cheese is another signature item. Wedding cakes is a signature item, and White House rolls. Anyway, it must be a Richmond thing. I don't get it. But I'm glad that traditions live on for some. I do want to point out on the topic of Dr. Howard Smith that he does have a podcast. Every day he has like he releases a 45-minute episode every day on recalled items. And he'll report on anything, like a bed frame that's going to collapse on you, a bookshelf that you need to destroy immediately. So yeah, I gave him a follow, of course. He's coming up on my feed a lot. I do need to stay in the know on what is being recalled. He reported on a dresser, I think, that like fell on children and crushed them. And someone in the comments wrote, "Thank you for the information, King." Dr. Howard said, "You're welcome. Not a king, though." To which someone replied, "You're the people's king." To which Howard replied, "Just trying to provide good info. Thanks." To which someone else replied, "In our eyes you are, Doctor." To which Dr. Howard replied, "Rather just be a trusted friend." So he is arguing with people in the comments. I would recommend that you check them out. So yeah, going along with this algorithm, I got a TikTok of what looked like an extremely dire situation of someone cooking 2 hot dogs and some chili on a huge container, recklessly balancing on like some sort of heat lamp device that seemed to be their only source of heat in what looked to be a shack somewhere in the woods. I don't know what was going on. And you know, the food looked cold. It was not getting warmed up. All of a sudden, a can of Wendy's chili comes into frame, and they're explaining that they're heating up Wendy's chili. Last thing I was expecting, especially since the previous evening, one of my sisters sent me a picture of their grocery store aisle filled with Wendy's chili that was on sale for almost $7 a can. It's cheaper to just go to Wendy's and get chili. I love Wendy's chili. A lot of people think it's disgusting, Brian included. I know, well, I've never worked at Wendy's, but I've heard that they just take the scraps from off the grill from the hamburgers, the pieces that break off, and then just put them into a chili, which I don't mind. That makes sense to me. Got another TikTok video by Patty Plates. This person made a honey garlic shrimp pancake. They took potato starch, or they made potato starch, added water to it, and then poured off all the water and used the settled potato starch, which I was confused about. I was like, that's just potato starch, right? So they used potato starch and egg whites, shrimp. They basically made one giant fried shrimp, and then they glazed it with a honey garlic sauce. It looked amazing. Pantry Boy made a TikTok video, Chinese lasagna. Now Chinese lasagna is like the only thing on my algorithm, and I need to make it. It's like dumpling wrappers, layered with dumpling filling, and then like whatever sort of sauce you would want to incorporate into that. And then you could steam it in like a water bath in individual containers, or I saw someone else do that. I don't know how Pantry Boy cooked his, but deep fried would be cool. I don't know how you would do that exactly. Maybe would you freeze it? But I think I need to make some Chinese lasagna. And let's see. My last item, which is still in the internet category, is an update from the Martha Stewart Living channel, which I cannot stop watching, especially when her content from the 90s is on. Very nostalgic for me. My mom almost always had Martha Stewart or some like PBS cook on the channel. Later Food Network, but in the 90s especially, Martha Stewart for sure. So I don't know what day I was watching this, but it was all content from the late 90s. And Martha had a woman named Naomi. Well, Martha pronounced her last name Duguid, but it's spelled Duguid. And this woman came on to make a cookie recipe called Martha's Mother's Cookies, which is confusing because it's not referring to Martha Stewart's mother at all. It's referring to a friend of a friend. I went on Internet Archive to find the cookbook that this was from, which is a cookbook from the 90s called Home Baking. You can rent the cookbook on Internet Archive. So I borrowed the book and I found the recipe. And I'm going to share it. Okay. Makes 30 puffed, finely layered sugar top cookies. The dough is made from equal parts of butter, cream cheese, and flour, and folded several times like a simple puff pastry. And the thing that I liked about this recipe is that there isn't any sugar in the dough itself. And as you know, I'm looking for sugarless things to put in a Christmas cookie box. So this was intriguing to me. Seems very versatile. So there's no sugar in the dough, but you do dip it in powdered sugar. Okay, so the recipe is 2 sticks of unsalted butter softened, 8 ounces or 1 cup of cream cheese softened, a scant 2 cups of flour, a pinch of salt, 1 egg separated, orange or lemon zest, which is optional, powdered sugar for coating. So use a food processor to process the softened butter, softened cream cheese, flour, salt, egg yolk, and optional zest until smooth. Wrap it in plastic and chill for 1 to 3 hours or up to 2 days. Then you roll the dough out on a floured surface, and then you're going to make a puff pastry. So you're going to roll it out into a 12 by 8 triangle, fold into thirds like a letter, then roll it out again to 16 by 8 inches, fold again into thirds, roll out into 16 by 10 inch rectangle. Then you're going to transfer this rectangle of dough onto a baking sheet covered with plastic and refrigerate it for 30 to 120 minutes. Once the dough is chilled, you're going to cut out rounds from a 1.5 inch cutter. You're going to brush the top. You could also cut out squares, which were intriguing to me. The squares looked nice, sort of like a square biscuit. So after you cut out your cookies, whatever shape you choose, you brush the tops with egg white that's left over from the separated egg, and then you dip that egg whited top into the powdered sugar. You want to really make sure that there's a thick crust of sugar on it. You place the cookies on a baking sheet. You don't really need to space them out. They aren't going to spread. They're going to rise. So you could get away with a 1/4 inch space between the cookies. You bake them until they're shiny and risen, 18 to 20 minutes at 350. There's a note in the recipe saying if you're cutting them into rounds, the dough scraps can be re-rolled. If you're cutting them into squares, you're going to, not have as many dough scraps. So that's a plus for doing the square shape. Which the last time I made ravioli, that's why I went for the square shape, because I could just connect all the ravioli and use the most dough possible instead of the circles. Okay, so that is it for my updates. I'm going to get into what I ate last week, starting on January 5th, 2026. It was a Monday. 7:30 a.m. Leftover coffee with half and half and a bowl of bran flakes with milk. 11 a.m. Leftover jangjorum with kimchi and jasmine rice and a cup of coffee with half and half at the office. 5 p.m. Tortilla chips. 7:30 p.m. A chicken shawarma wrap with tahini, baba ganoush, and feta and pesto orzo from Sasul in Raleigh, North Carolina. So the kimchi that I bought was stinking up my house. It really just smelled weird and bad, like beef. Every time I opened the fridge, Brian was like, "What happened in here?" So I didn't really think about that when I decided to pack it for lunch. I don't know. The problem is I can't smell it when I'm eating it. But if you're not eating it, I could see you smelling it and being like, "What's going on?" So we have a community kitchen at the office. And if you've ever worked in an office, you know that that's where food happens. Free food. People bring in stuff. When one of my sisters used to work in an office, it was like a few companies shared a space, and they had a room called the cake room. And people would put cake in there or whatever was left over from whatever party. And she would send us updates about what was in the cake room. And when I worked for an institute in Kalamazoo, Michigan, unfortunately I worked remote, but I would get emails every so often saying that there were donuts in the break room, or, just really great updates about what was in the break room. And I really appreciated that someone would email the entire company about it. Nobody is really sending out mass emails in the same way at my current office. It's really, you have to wander in and see what's there. So on this particular day, there was a giant bowl of Skittles and Starburst. It looked to be leftover Halloween candy, like fun size bags of Skittles and Starburst. I didn't take any. I like Skittles. I think I like the mixed berry bag better than the traditional. I think I stopped liking Skittles when they switched over. They changed the lime flavor to green apple for a while. I don't know if they switched back or not, but there was a period where I was mad about the green apple choice. I'm not a huge green apple flavor fan. I don't know why. I have an aversion to Skittles for a few other reasons. My mom had what seemed to be, I don't know how she got these. I don't know if she bought a case of them from the grocery store, but she had a case of full-sized Skittles bags up on the top shelf of the Lazy Susan of the spice rack in our kitchen. And I was super little, so I could never reach it, but I knew they were up there. And every so often on a rainy day, my mom would break out a bag and let me and my sister share it in the basement while we watched TV. She did this so sparingly that they got stale, and we were just eating extremely stale and chewy bags of Skittles. Another reason why I don't like Skittles is that in 6th grade, I was in the band. I played the oboe. People say oboe is hard, but it's the only instrument that I can play. So I have no point of reference, and I will never understand how people play string instruments. To me, that is the hardest instrument. I will never understand how a string instrument works. So I played the oboe. There was a saxophone player behind me who would eat a bag of Skittles before every band practice. So at the end of the year, we eventually realized that because he was eating a bag of Skittles and then blowing into his saxophone for an hour, his saxophone was filled with mold. And I was probably breathing that in. Also, a couple years ago, I went to a Super Bowl party and there was a child there. There was one child. The only foods that she ate, according to not her parents, but her guardians who I met, she only ate Skittles and Fruit Loops. And yeah, the guardians were like, yeah, there's just nothing we can do about it. Which, obviously I'm not in their situation. I'm not in their shoes, but there has to be something else that you can feed the child. Anyway, January 6, 2025, it was a Tuesday. 7:30 a.m. Counterculture coffee with half and half made at home. 8:30 a.m. An olive oil toasted slice of La Farm sourdough with avocado and sriracha made at home. 1 p.m. Pretzels with hummus and baba ganoush from Sassoul and a piece of Cadbury Dairy Milk whole nut. 3 p.m. Grazza potato chips. 6 p.m. Chicken pot pie made at home. 7 p.m. Dietz's milk chocolate triple dipped malt balls. Okay, I got this Cadbury Dairy Milk whole nut bar. Terrible name. I threw it away. It tasted like soap or oranges. Scoured the internet and the packaging for any flavoring info. Like, is it supposed to taste like soap? I think it was packaged or stored or shipped with some sort of soap product, and it was inedible. It was truly inedible. I had to throw it away. Also, overall, poor quality. It was directly from England. I think Brian's parents got it from the British store that is in Fayetteville, North Carolina. One of their British friends gets British imports from this store around there. Okay. How are we saying this olive oil, trendy squeezy bottle olive oil brand? Is it Grazza, like Italian pronunciation, or is it Grazza? Anyway, I'm still eating the Grazza potato chips that I don't even like. I'm definitely stress eating. As I said in the beginning of the episode, this is the worst time of the year. Also, just having almost 2 weeks off and then having to jump back into work is incredibly destabilizing for me. And maybe you could hear it in my voice. Last episode, I think I rushed through the episode. I was stressed about meetings. I felt that my voice was shaky. I felt nervous. I recorded an episode called Eating Ham Alone or Eating Ham by Myself. And then I didn't even talk about the story where I was eating ham by myself. I mean, I alluded to wanting to eat it alone because nobody wanted to eat it with me. But I remember what I was naming the episode after was a Friendsgiving I went to when I still lived in Chicago. Hosted by the people who gave me the sauerkraut from Door County. And wonderful Friendsgiving. This person brought an entire ham. And nobody really touched it, but it was, it's the best ham I've ever eaten. I don't really get to eat a lot of hams. Nobody around me is making them. So this was a true delight. I really didn't talk to anybody at that party because I was just trying to figure out how to get back to the ham and eat more ham without people noticing. So that's what I'm talking about. eating him alone. Yeah, last week I was super manic. This really is the worst time of the year. Okay, chicken pot pie. I highly recommend that you check out Arthur Schwartz's series of chicken pot pie reviews on his podcast. They're from last year. It's like 3 or 4 episodes in a row where he reviews chicken pot pies, including a chicken pot pie that he got from Trader Joe's that was foul and expired, that he had to throw away. Anyway, I made chicken pot pie with the Dufour puff pastry. Okay, here's the recipe. 2 shallots, 2 carrots, 8 garlic cloves, half a cup of peas. They're frozen. 3 cups of mixed greens, 1.5 pounds of Bell & Evans organic chicken tenders. These were on sale. 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 2 tablespoons of butter, 2 tablespoons of flour, a pinch of Gustiamo oregano di Pantelleria, garlic powder, black pepper, a dash of kitchen bouquet, 2 cups of chicken stock, 1 cup of heavy cream, salt to taste, egg wash, 1 package of Dufour puff pastry. Instructions. I wrote these instructions. Brown. Well, first I salted the chicken a bit and let it sit, dry brine, if you will, for, 6 hours. I like to salt the chicken ahead of time. So once that's done, brown the chicken in olive oil and remove. I did this in a, like a Le Creuset or like a Dutch oven. Okay, remove the chicken, add some more olive oil if you need it. Add the shallots and brown them. Add the garlic and sweat it out. Add the butter and the flour. Make a roux and cook until golden. I then added a little bit of that oregano. And then I slowly added the stock and stirred it until it became thick. I added the frozen peas, the carrots, added the chicken back in, and the greens, and I stirred until everything was wilted. I slowly added the cream in and a dash of the kitchen bouquet, seasoned to taste, and, adjust by adding some cornstarch or extra flour or extra liquid if you need to. Get it to the thickness, the consistency that you want. Because it's not really going to thicken more in the oven, in my experience. It's not like it's covered in puff pastry, so it's going to retain that moisture. It's not going to reduce that much. So I had a 2-quart Pyrex dish that I use for this. It's like a 8x12 long Pyrex dish. I really like it. It's old. It's like a proper Pyrex made out of the good glass. It's the Pyrex that's all capital letters. OG Pyrex. I don't know where I got it. Thrift store probably. So I spooned the filling into the Pyrex dish and I covered with the puff pastry. I egg washed it and I baked at 375 until the pastry was golden brown. So this was extremely hard. It took over 45 minutes to get a golden brown finish on the puff pastry, and the middle was still a little bit soggy as hell. Next time, if I'm making a rectangle chicken pot pie like this, which I think is so easy, I didn't even have to roll out the dough or anything. It was like the perfect size for this 8x12 pastry dish, or Pyrex dish. I would bake the puff pastry separately on a parchment lined baking sheet. I would bake that off separately while I bake the chicken pot pie mixture. and then just put it on top afterwards so that the middle of the puff pastry isn't soggy. That's what I would do next time. And my review of the Dufour puff pastry, of course, which is expensive. I got it on sale, but I think it runs like $13, $12 to $13. So I already talked about the issue about it not listing the dimensions of the product inside the box anywhere. So I did try to find this out on the internet before opening the product. Serious Eats said that the puff pastry inside was a square, while a random citizen product review said that it was a long rectangle. I found it to be neither. When I opened the package, it contained one sheet of approximately 9 by 12, which fit perfectly over the 8 by 12 Pyrex dish. So I guess it's really neither a square nor a long rectangle. Anyway, the verdict, this is not worth the price. I think that, you can get a Pepperidge Farm box of puff pastry that has 2 sheets in it, not just one, for $6. And it's really just as good. I mean, the butter flavor is there, but it's not worth the extra price. I would skip. Unless you're looking for a gluten-free puff pastry option. In that case, maybe try Dufour, because they do have the gluten-free puff pastry, which I think is pretty hard to find. Okay, January 7th, 2026, it was a Wednesday, 7 a.m. Counterculture with half and half made at home and a bowl of bran flakes with milk. 11 a.m. Leftover jangjorim with kimchi, a jammy boiled egg, and jasmine rice, and a cup of coffee with half and half at the office. 4 p.m. Graza potato chips. 6 p.m. leftover chicken pot pie. 7:30 p.m. Tony's hazelnut milk chocolate. Okay, I have a cake room update. There, in addition to communal food being placed in this table in the communal kitchen at my office, sometimes people will put things that they don't want. This includes magazines sometimes, a book occasionally, but mostly food items. I've put some things there. I put that raspberry, like all natural gum that I tried there, and people ate that. I put some granola bars, I think, out there, and people ate them. Anyway, the item of the day was a package of Yogi brand bedtime tea, which shocked me. Who is bringing bedtime tea to the office? January 8th, 2025, it was a Thursday. Counterculture coffee with half and half made at home. 9 a.m. 2 slices of hickory smoked bacon and an avocado over 2 slices of La Farm sourdough toasted in bacon fat made at home. 12 p.m. Graza potato chips with leftover baba ganoush and hummus. 6 p.m. leftover goat cheese ravioli and cream tomato sauce with parmesan and black pepper. 7 p.m. Tony's hazelnut milk chocolate. I gotta say, this Tony's hazelnut milk chocolate is excellent. And especially compared to that abysmal Cadbury whole nuts bar that I had, which was supposed to be whole hazelnuts and milk chocolate, which was disgusting. And I forgot to mention this hickory smoked bacon that I've been eating is the Whole Foods store brand. As we've discussed, the Whole Foods store brand is very hit or miss. I'm going to give this one a hit rating. Okay. January 9th, 2025, it was a Friday, 7:30 a.m. Leftover coffee with half and half. 9 a.m. A cappuccino and a drip coffee with half and half at Joe Van Gogh in Durham, North Carolina. 12 p.m., a spicy, crispy chicken sandwich with pickles on a brioche bun with pickles. Okay, I already said that. From Food Lion with half an avocado and leftover tahini sauce. 2 p.m., half an avocado and wild dill snowfrisk cheese on garlic and herb water crackers. 6 p.m., congee with garlic, onion, chili flakes, mixed greens, and a jammy egg made at home. 7 p.m., Sour Patch Kids. Went to a coffee shop and worked. Did some work. I have to clarify because every time I tell somebody I went to go work at a coffee shop, people think that I got a job at a coffee shop. And the conversation gets confusing because I don't know what they're talking about. I really wanted to get some food in Durham, but I also just wanted to go home. And I stopped at Food Line on the way home to see if they had my favorite Nashville hot chicken cutlets. And they had a new item, very exciting and innovative for Food Lion. A spicy, crispy chicken sandwich served in a clamshell. Dry as hell. I had to add sauce to it when I got home. And I added half an avocado. I added this leftover tahini sauce from Sasul. It was great. I mean, it was $3.99. For $3.99, they should give you some sauce, at least on the side. But you can get a really good chicken sandwich at Popeyes for that price. I think their standalone chicken sandwich is $4 or $5. So maybe just do that. Eating, and then in the afternoon, I ate the other half of the avocado with crackers, which really tasted like college, which I don't know if I was like ahead of the times or just didn't have access to a kitchen, but sort of pre-avocado toast. I think the only thing I ate in college was avocado on Triscuits or crackers. Brian brought home a bag of Sour Patch Kids. The first time he did this, they were amazing. I think there was something wrong with these. They tasted, it was weird. Every flavor except for the yellow was weird. It was like they were weird and dark and shrunken. They tasted like they had gotten really hot and they weren't sour. Something happened to them in transit that was wrong. Something happened. January 10th, 2025, it was a Saturday. 8 a.m. Counterculture coffee with half and half made at home. 11:30 a.m. A classic smash burger and a bird dog from Queen Burger in Durham, North Carolina. To 12 p.m. A cold brew with half and half from Cocoa Cinnamon in Durham. 1:30 p.m. A burger with fries and pickle chips at Only Burger in Durham. 4 p.m. Grazza potato chips. 7 p.m. Tony's hazelnut milk chocolate. Okay. I needed a cheeseburger, so I ended up getting 2. Well, hold on. Went to Queen Burger in Durham. I love a smash burger. Love a simple, straightforward cheeseburger. Went there, got there as soon as they opened. I really regret not getting the fries because I heard they're like crispy, shoestring, like French bistro fries, which I love. That's my favorite kind of fry. So I can't believe I didn't get any fries. I guess I assumed they would come with the burger automatically, but I got a combo, which included a burger and a side, and I subbed fries for a bird dog, which is a chicken tender and a hot dog bun. And we got like a drink, which was fine. It was fountain soda. which Brian drank. So Brian's review of the burger was that it tasted like a flat piece of meat, like a cheap flat cut that a Mexican restaurant serves. I disagreed. I thought that the meat itself was teetering on the edge of being inedibly oversalted. I think it was 2 patties. They were huge and flat, a little bit lacy on the outside, about 30% larger than the bun itself. It came with hoop cheese, which I think they really used American. I don't know. It was a good cheese. It was a lot of it. It had a sauce that tasted like the Trader Joe's burger sauce. It was a little too sweet for me. I think it could have used a little bit more acid. It came with pickles, and then it came with caramelized onions that had a strong grill top residue flavor that I don't love. Despite all this, I'd probably give the burger a 9 out of 10. And I wish that I hadn't shared it with Brian. I wish that I'd eaten it all myself. I'm going to go back and get another one of these burgers, I think, because I want to try the fries as well. The bird dog was a laughably small chicken tender and a hot dog bun with a light drizzle of mayo and pickles. Maybe some lettuce, I don't remember. A $5 chicken tender in disguise. Rip off. They should have put 2 chicken tenders in there. It was a joke. The chicken tender itself tasted like something you would get at a sporting stadium. I don't know if my proximity to a baseball stadium was influencing that thought. So for $18, that included tip. I would go back and get the burger. I would not do the bird dog. The chicken itself in the tender was good. Maybe I would do the tender separately, but not in a giant piece of bread for $5. So that's that. Queen Burger was a pop-up. Their parent restaurant is Queenie's, which is in Durham, but also it's the same owners as Queenie's and Kingfisher Bar. Kingfisher I've talked about. I went there, I think, on my birthday or someone's birthday and got that awful sunflower oil cocktail. It's disgusting. Okay, went to Cocoa Cinnamon in Durham. Sat outside. The loudest woman ever, who was wearing like a Duke library shirt. I don't know. I can't imagine anybody would hire her at a library. Someone who talks out loud would never get a job at a library. She was so loud, we had to go inside. It was just like, it was basically like we were on an airport runway. Brian got an item at Cocoa Cinnamon that was really, how do I describe it? Threw me for a loop. It was a latte called the Harvest Latte. It was made with house-made pumpkin seed. I don't know what that means. Cinnamon, ginger, and allspice syrup. Oh, okay. So this whole syrup is flavored with pumpkin seed, cinnamon, ginger, and allspice, topped with mace. I thought it was nasty, but I think that all sweet coffee drinks are disgusting besides a Vietnamese coffee for some reason. I don't know. So I wanted to try another cheeseburger. Brian really vouched for Only Burger. And I was like, are you sure? You used to tell me you used to get Only Burger like when you were doing farm CSA deliveries as like a last ditch, like, oh shit, what am I going to eat? This is the only thing around. And you were never excited about it. And he said, no, it's great. They use local beef. I would vouch for Only Burger. So we went to Only Burger. I ordered a burger. I got a fountain soda. What else did I get? I got a side of pickle chips. This was $27 with tip. The burger itself, first of all, I ordered like their classic standard burger. It didn't come with cheese. So I need to eat cheese. I need cheese with a burger personally. The patty itself was basically meatloaf. I could taste the Worcestershire sauce. I could taste the breadcrumbs. It was like eating a meatball. It wasn't pure beef. It was well done. It was too tall to bite into properly. It was stacked with huge piece. It was just too many things stacked onto the burger, and then the bun itself, too much bread. If you want to eat a meatloaf sandwich, this might be for you. I'm looking for more of a straight up medium rare, well salted beef experience with some cheese. Or a smash burger. I'm looking for straightforward beef eating. I want to taste the beef. So this was not it for me. I'm giving it a 4 out of 10. That even seems generous. The pickle chips were pretty good. It seems like maybe they make their own pickles. It's like a whole cucumber cut into really, really thick coins. The breading was really great on them. I don't know how the breading stayed on to such a wet pickle chip itself. But those were great. They also have fried green tomatoes year round. They used to have a sampler combo of fries, fried green onions, and pickle chips. They don't do that anymore. That's what I really wanted. But yeah, I would not go back here. Personally, it's not what I am looking for. But the people who work there seemed really lovely. January 11th, 2025, it was a Sunday. 8 a.m., counterculture coffee with half and half made at home. 12:30 p.m., Marak, Mandi lamb, Fool, Mulukia, and Mulawa from Yemeni Arabic restaurant in Raleigh, North Carolina. 2:30 p.m., a cold brew with half and half, part of a spice roll, part of a malt shortbread, and part of an orange buttermilk pie from Bolted Bread in Raleigh. 7:30 p.m., Grazza potato chips. Okay, I don't know much about Yemeni cuisine. Obviously, I went to a restaurant called Yemeni Arabic restaurant because otherwise I never would have known what it was. I guess it used to be called Sheba, and I had it saved on my Google map, and it is now called Yemeni Arabic restaurant. One in there were like 2 other tables eating. It was silent, except for 2 men in the back somewhere screaming at each other at the top of their lungs the entire time. Maybe one of their daughters was coming out and taking our order. She was clearly like, hey, sorry. I mean, I wish I knew what they were yelling about. They were not yelling in English, unfortunately. That would have been fun. So when you sit down, they give you a bowl of hot broth, the Marak. So it was a spiced, I'm going to guess it was a chicken broth. It was good. It was oversalted, in my opinion. The mandi lamb was good. The lamb for me tasted a little bit more like mutton than lamb. The rice was nice. The fool was excellent, I thought. It was, I guess I was expecting more like real pieces of beans, but this was more like a Mexican, really liquidy, like refried bean experience. It was very liquidy, and it had a lot of oil sort of pooling at the top of it, on the top of it. The mulukia was good. I don't know if I'd order it again. But the tandoor bread, the mulawa, was maybe the best I've ever had. Like, I've been dreaming about eating a bread like this for years. if you want really good tonor bread, I would highly recommend it. It was huge. It was probably the size of a basketball. Huge round pieces, covered in blisters. It was wonderful. I think we ate all of it. They gave us like 6 pieces that were the size of basketballs, and we only had one left at the end of the meal. I don't know a lot about Yemeni cuisine, as I said before. Um, I don't know if it's like my favorite like Middle Eastern cuisine. It sort of reminded me of Ethiopian food in that we didn't have any utensils and we were eating everything with a bread and it was just like a bunch of sauces. But I went on the Wikipedia page and per the Wikipedia page, it says Yemeni cuisine is distinct from the wider Middle Eastern cuisines with regional variation. Despite being an Arab country, Yemeni cooking conditions have been influenced more by Indian and Indonesian methods as a result of its maritime history. Super interesting. Yeah, so I could see that too, except I wasn't really getting that spice that I would think of it with an Indian influence. Like nothing was really spiced well. That's not true. That's not true. But I don't know. The Wikipedia page is great. I don't know if I would go back. They did have a whole lamb for $700 on the menu. I would definitely get bread from them. I would get their tonor bread to go. I put a link here to the Mulukia. So it's jute, also known as Jew's mallow, used as a vegetable in Egypt, Sudan, Cyprus, Libya, Tunisia, Nigeria, Algeria. Often described as slimy, rather like cooked okra. It kind of reminded me of like a saag paneer. And I've seen videos of people making this before, and I guess I've seen this vegetable available in frozen sections of Middle Eastern grocery stores. I thought it was good, but I thought the beans were really where it was at. Got some pastries from Bolted Bread. Also picked up a loaf of ciabatta, which I'm excited to eat. This spice roll was good. It's croissanto that's spiraled with spices and maybe some cooked apple or pear. I couldn't tell. The malt shortbread cookie tasted like bacon. Was not into it. Tasted like smoky. Tasted like it had been contaminated with something. And then this mini orange buttermilk pie that had a burnt orange slice or wheel on top. The pie dough itself had beautiful lamination. The custard was nice. It sort of tasted to me, and this is insulting maybe, like the vanilla pudding packets that Jell-O would make. Just tastes like a little bit watery. I wish it was sharper or more fatty. But otherwise, I usually don't have many complaints for Bolted Bread. I think they do an amazing job. Okay. I'm going to go.